Probably one of the biggest frustrations in sim racing is being taken out at the start. And if you have this multiple times in a row, this is the perfect formula to just quit sim racing altogether. I am a big fan of ACC, but this will count for all the sims out there. Are you getting fed up being taken out on the start in sim racing? Maybe you have a feeling that you cannot do anything about it to avoid collision, crashes, people ramming into you. Well, I certainly believe that you have more control over this than you might think. I'm going to share my tactics that I use to avoid collisions and crashes and contact in race starts. Let's get into it. Oh, and by the way, this won't work in open multiplayer lobbies. You have children, people who are out to hit you. This will only work in community lobbies or Lowfield Motorsport or like community lobbies. And I'm also not gonna sugarcoat it. It's not rainbows and unicorns. It's a 50-50 method. Half of the time you're gonna be clean and the other half it's maybe not so clean. But this doesn't have to be the end. I'm actually start worrying because my last 10 races were pretty good starts, so maybe I'll get into a bad streak. We'll see. First, when you're starting out, when the lights go green, and you're starting the race, you're kind of already too late, because first you want to really think and have like this thought in the front end of your mind that you are going to focus on starting this race clean. Maybe you will give up a few positions, but you will stay alive. If this is something in the front of your mind, avoid like some contact, because you're like saying to yourself, I want to avoid a crash. I want to keep this clean. I want to survive this race start. Yeah, your subconscious will come up with solutions after. But if you go into it with a very competitive mindset saying, I'm gonna be like a superhero, I'm going to find like 2 positions, I want to gain positions. If you go into it like this, that can be like, you can really feel a hero like that, but 9 out of 10 times this just makes chaos for everybody. Having the mindset to keep it clean and to take care of the other drivers as well. Those are humans as well. Yeah, they're also people in the sim. They want to have a clean start. Everybody wants the same. Somehow collisions always starting because somebody is trying to be really competitive. So a little bit of safety, yeah, a little bit of margin left and right goes a long way. We need to create some distance around us. So it's gonna be a little bit smarter to have like a half a meter distance for the car next to you than only like 1 finger I can put between the mirrors. Now, if you're really comfortable like that, so you can really look to the left and to the right and you're really comfortable with being so close, that's probably because you have a lot more skill. But if you have less skill, then maybe this is not a smart idea. If you are like cars around you everywhere and you start gripping the steering wheel and you're like, oh, this is going to be tight, then you're actually saying to yourself, it's going to be tight and it's going to be more difficult. So a little bit of margin. How do you create this margin? Well, first of all, if you have a car in front of you, like create a little bit of distance between it so you have some time to react when people are braking early. Yeah. And what I also use a lot, if I get like cars behind me and we're getting up to that first braking zone, sometimes I will just be full throttle and will just touch the brakes a few times so people behind me can see my brake lights and they are like, oh, he's already braking. So it makes the people behind you a little bit aware. Hey, and if you're liking this content this far, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for doing that. Car control. We need to speak about the car control. A lot of us are driving our setups in the free practices with the right amount of tire pressure, or maybe like the proper fuel levels, and we're pushing hard every lap, and we try to improve the lap time. Maybe we did already a lot of races, and then we get into the race. We fill it up with fuel, let's say 60 liters or whatever, and you have cold tires, and then the race starts. Are you actually really confident in your car when you fuel it up and don't have the proper pressures? everybody's gonna have this problem, especially if have like a sprint race. You don't have any like warm-up time. Maybe your tires will not be in the proper window on pressures and temperatures, and then all of a sudden we're all with full tanks in this field trying to be competitive. So can you actually drive your car when the pressures are off, or did your car just change in an oversteery monster? Now, if you make a small mistake, you start sliding and you hit the guy next to you, chaos is complete. Yeah. So can you actually drive your car setup when the values are not in order? I would advise you to, let's say, do a practice session, fuel it up, and have the wrong pressures. And how comfortable are you in your outlap? There's a thought, yeah? Now, the next thing I want to get into is track knowledge. Now, if you can drive competitive times, or like maybe you're a little bit slower, but you're consistent with your lap times, can you actually drive offline? Do you know the track that good? Then whenever you're not on the perfect line, braking points change, acceleration points change, turn-in points change. Can you actually drive a full lap offline? This is something important. Some tracks have the tendency to lose a lot of grip outside of the racing line. These are all different factors you need to consider when you're race starting. Because the last, and I think the most important point of having a clean race start is actually staying on your line. So let's say you start on the grid on the left side and the field starts driving and cars are close together. You need to stay on the left. I can imagine if you have the first S's, you want to be on that apex all the time, but you can actually not do this with a lot of cars around unless you're really sure there's nobody behind or in front of you. Today I watched the live stream from Jardir, and even the pros get it wrong. Some change their line too quickly and it starts into a massive chaos. So be really careful when you change your line. Using all of these tips that I just said, that I am applying like almost all the time, then you have a 50% chance of having a clean race. But you did everything you could. You still need to have some luck. I cannot change that. But if everybody would be more like helpful to make race starts clean on community lobbies, then I think we're in a good spot. I think it's very possible. And what does it matter if you survive the first lap and you lost 5 positions? You know, you're still there. If you're really fighting for 1 or 2 positions in the start, and you're like hitting the wall and have damage, then it's over. So, and maybe some forgiveness is also important, because we all make mistakes. I mean, I would be in the front of the line to start apologizing because I made so much mistakes in race starts. I took so many people out in the past, and luckily I'm still here. So, but yeah, have some sort of forgiveness, man. Some people, they just like inexperienced, or they missed mistakes, or they misjudged something. You know, it's very easy to make the mistake. You know, it's so like split-second decisions need to be made, and if it's not perfect, then boom, everything goes to can't curse on this video because it hurts the YouTube algorithm. I hope this helped you out to get like a cleaner race start. Let me know in the comments if I absolutely forgot one point to mention. Probably there's a lot more to it, but I just want to get this out there so we can everybody make a little bit more aware to make clean race starts. And I want to thank everybody who's been subscribing to the channel the past months, because it's been absolutely having a lot of subscribers, and the first Patreon member is also rolling in, which I think is amazing, and I want to shout out to them as well. I have big plans for this Patreon, especially when we're thinking about coaching, hot lapping, judging your setup and driving style. So if you want to be a part of that, link is in the description of the Patreon, and I would love to have you aboard. And if you're struggling on curbs, watch this video next, where I explain how to take curbs in Assetto Corsa Competizione.